59. The Vikings. The Vikings were warriors who terrorized Europe between 700 and 1000. They also explored the coast of Europe and the North Atlantic and even reached America. The Vikings lived in Scandinavia, the northern part of Europe. They conquered and raided parts of England, France, and Germany, and even got as far south as Spain and Italy. Viking ships explored Iceland and Greenland, and at about 1000 the Vikings founded a town in North America, but it didn't last very long. 60. The Viking Age began at a time when the population of Scandinavia started to grow. Historians believe that, because there was not enough farmland to live on, many Vikings looked for places to settle outside Scandinavia. They also made faster ships, with which they could travel to farther places. The Vikings lived on farms or in villages. There were three groups of people. The nobles were the kings or chiefs of each village. They also included people who were very rich. 2. The freemen were farmers or merchants. 3. The third group were the slaves, who were captured when the Vikings fought against other people. 61. Most of the Vikings were farmers. They grew fruits and vegetables as well as barley and oats. They also raised cattle, goats, pigs, and sheep. Some Vikings were fishermen, and others were good at building ships. In bigger villages, Vikings lived as merchants. They sailed a lot and traded furs, gold, silver, and other things. Most Viking men wore trousers that reached to the knee and a long-sleeved pullover or shirt. Women wore dresses made of linen or wool. All Vikings wore leather shoes. Viking houses were one-story buildings with slanted roofs. Some houses only had one room. The walls were made of wood or stone. 62. The roof was covered with shingles or straw. In every house there was a hearth that gave Vikings heat and a place to cook. Religion played an important role in the life of Vikings. They worshipped many gods. The chief god was called Odin. When Vikings died, they were buried in boats. Rich people were even put into big ships. Because the Vikings lived near the sea, they traveled a lot by boat. They were the best shipbuilders of their time. Viking ships could sail better than others because they laid a long piece of wood at the bottom of the ship, which became known as the keel. It made the ships stable in stormy weather, and it also increased the speed. Viking navigators used the sun and the stars to find out where they were. They also relied on landmarks like islands. On cloudy days, they found directions with the help of birds or whales. Vikings liked fighting. They were very brave and liked adventures, but they could also be very brutal. Many Europeans feared them. When Vikings invaded a new territory, they usually came with a few hundred ships and thousands of warriors. Sometimes they landed with only a few ships, raided villages, and quickly disappeared. 64. Vikings were famous for their surprise attacks. They could row their light boats into shallow rivers and overran their victims so fast that they had no chance of defending themselves. Vikings fought with axes, bows, and arrows. They used both hands to swing their broad axe at an enemy, chopping off their hands or their heads. Most warriors carried round wooden shields to protect themselves. They also wore helmets made of leather.